next level. We're always upgrading ourselves. We're always moving through death and rebirth processes. Has anyone else been going through a death and rebirth process over the past few months? Yeah. And I know that Thomas just started a new program. So you're about to go through a whole nother level up when it comes to inner work and understanding the unconscious mind. So when we start to tune into what our next level is, I have a couple of really powerful metaphors that one of my mentors uses. His name is Kyle Cease. If you don't know him, I recommend check him out on YouTube. Oh, look at the little doggy. That's so buddy. Cute.
Yeah.
Little buddy. So what I want to get you guys starting to think about is this concept of elementary school. We've all been to school, right? We've all been through the school system. Yeah. All right. So we all have grades that we up level, that we step into as we progress. And each grade has a different skill set, different knowledge, different things that we need to tune into in order to pass and level up into the next grade, into the next year. Right? So when we start to tune into spiritually, emotionally, mentally, energetically, physically, what our next level is, we have to recognize that what used to work for us last year, 2 years ago, to get us to where we are now, may not necessarily be the thing that's going to get us to the next level, right? If we are doing third grade homework, but we're in fourth grade, we are going to fail the fourth grade test because we're not learning the lessons and overcoming the challenges and growing and expanding ourselves in the fourth grade energy, so we can move on and progress to fifth grade. And a lot of us have been stuck in the third grade for decades, right? We've been like, okay, let's chase the money. Let's do the things. Let's really, really push hard and hustle to make things happen. And what I want you guys to know is that third grade way of doing things isn't necessarily going to work now with where we're at with the fourth grade level of understanding. So I invite everyone to just take a deep breath in. And I want you to start to tune into some of the challenges that you're experiencing right now in your life. Maybe they're unforeseen circumstances. Maybe it's something that you've known about and been feeling into for quite some time, and you just don't have the answer yet. You haven't figured out the Rubik's Cube. You haven't solved the puzzle of the next level yet. But yet implies that at some point you will. So what I want you to do is tune into that challenge, that obstacle, that block, that thing that you think is holding you back. And when you feel into that, take a deep breath in. And I want you to think about all the ways you've been trying to solve the problem. Maybe the ways that you've been trying to solve the problem look like escaping from the problem. Maybe it looks like trying really, really hard, trying to be perfect, trying to throw perfection at the challenge or the problem. Because that's how you learn how to get love and attention in childhood, to be the perfect one. Maybe your way of going about the problem is trying to go around the problem, or under the problem, or over the problem, instead of actually facing the challenge, the situation. Just tuning in, whatever, there's no right or wrong, just tuning into what is true for you in this moment, in the level that you're at right now, because there's always going to be next levels. And every time we take a step up, there's a new lessons. We have to find our balance, right? When we step into new territory, we're a little shaky. We're a little nervous. It's unfamiliar, right? If that's resonating with you, take a deep breath in. And today is all about finding and tuning into our next level now and allowing ourselves to open up and expand, right? I always like that quote, the level of awareness that created the problem is not the level of awareness that's going to solve it, right? We need to expand past the problem, raise up above the problem, look at the problem from a different perspective so that we can start to experience a new way of seeing, a new way of thinking, a new way of feeling, And when we begin to do that, the problem may vanish on its own, recognizing that you're in fourth grade now instead of third grade. Just taking a deep breath in. And we can even imagine into the future, because we all know that there's cycles, there's iterations, there's deaths and rebirths. So just because we're in the fourth grade now doesn't mean we're not going to be in the fifth grade very soon, because it's not a linear process. We might be in the fifth grade. We might jump right up to 11th grade because this one thing that's been holding us back, we've already learned the lessons, but this one thing that keeps holding us back over a decade or 2 decades might be that thing that if we can just let go of or move past, might skyrocket us into a completely different stratosphere of awareness and understanding in our life. So that's one concept, that's one metaphor I like to use. So you guys are starting to think about the next level now, who you want to become, who you know you are, who your soul is telling you and calling you that you need to be right now at this time in the planet's history. As you continue to tune into that next level version of you, maybe even seeing that next level version of you, to start to recognize that you're already it. It's already inside of you. It's like a seed that's starting to grow and expand. We're watering it with our awareness. So taking a deep breath into that new version of you, overcoming those obstacles, being open and receptive now to the understandings that have been trying to come into your awareness, but those old ways of doing things, the old addictions, the old coping mechanisms, the old strategies have been getting in the way of. Being afraid to tune into resistance as opposed to just sitting with it. And now what I want you guys to imagine is another powerful, beautiful metaphor. I want you to imagine that your body, your mind, your emotions, your soul, whatever you want to call it, all of the things encompassed, is like a 100-floor building. And you know those buildings when you go inside and you can look up and you can look all the way up to the skylight in the ceiling? It's like the middle of the building is open and has all these floors. And right now you're on the first floor looking up. You see all the light coming down from the ceiling, but the world has told you that you're just a first floor being, that you belong on the first floor. And the first floor is, you got to go to get a job, you got to work, you got to have a relationship, otherwise you'll be unfulfilled. You got to have all these things that are first floor things that the universe, school, your parents, society has told you that you need to be happy. But you, my friend, are a 100-story building. And what's happening is right now, if you're experiencing pain, or if you're experiencing challenges, if you're experiencing problems in your life, what's happening is the universe is starting to flood the first floor. It's starting to make the first floor unlivable because it needs you to know that you are bigger, more expansive, and larger than that first floor that you've been playing at. But the thing is all of our stuff is on the first floor. All of our relationships, all of our jobs, our security, the addictions, the things that we've learned to take on as identities, all that stuff is on the first floor, the second or the third, right? And it's like this giant boulder and rock, and we have a rope tied around it, and we're trying to hold on to the rock. And the universe is flooding the first and second floors. And it's like, all right, man, it's time. You can hold your breath as long as you want, right? But eventually you're going to have to breathe. And how many of us, just taking a deep breath in, tuning into this, have felt like you couldn't take a deep breath in a long time? Like you've been underwater and the universe has been like throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you for quite some time. Just tuning into that and recognize that the universe loves you deeply and is only doing this because it needs you to wake up. The universe needs you to rise to the level of the global consciousness. And if we stay on the first floor, we can hold on as long as we want. It's just going to be miserable. Imagine being underwater holding your breath for a decade. People have done it. People have been in relationships for decades. and they're just not right. They're not aligned, but they're willing to hold on and tough it out and just be miserable and suffer because they think they're going to die. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine, taking a deep breath in, just imagine for a moment holding on to that rock, all the old stories, the beliefs, your perceived limitations, poverty, the not good enoughs, the pains, the traumas of the past, all that stuff encompassed in that rock. And the beautiful thing about you and your soul and your spirit is that you are like a cork. You naturally float, you naturally rise, you naturally elevate, as long as there's nothing holding you down, as long as you're not holding on to something that is not a cork. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine taking a deep breath in and just loosening and relaxing your hands and feeling that rope start to slip through, and just allow yourself to rise up, float up easily, effortlessly, naturally, because that's who you are. And recognize that you're now rising to the level of the 3rd floor, the 4th floor, the 5th floor, even the 6th floor. And looking down, almost floating down, looking at all those old problems from a new, higher perspective. And just noticing what it feels like in your body, being up here, as opposed to all the way down there as you relax, you rise, you surrender, you let go, and you begin to naturally raise your vibration. Because when we raise our vibration, all those old things start to just fall away like snakes shedding its skin. And once a snake sheds its skin, it can't put the skin back on, right? Once you recognize and become aware that these old problems no longer serve you, you can keep doing the thing, but it's just not going to feel right anymore. But at some point, like, that was the thing. That's what worked. That's what made you feel fulfilled. But now you're bigger, you're more expansive, and you recognize that you're not just the 6th floor, and you're also not just the 100th floor. You are the building, and beyond that, there's a whole nother level where you're not just the building, you are the freaking block. And beyond that, you are the freaking city. There's another level beyond that where you're the state and then the country, and you begin to recognize you're actually the whole world all at once, and eventually the whole universe. So let's take a deep breath in, and at that space of being the whole planet, the whole world, looking back at those old problems down on the 1st floor, just notice how that feels in your body. Notice how small and almost insignificant they feel. But when you're on the 1st floor, it feels like the entire world. So just tuning back into this, taking a deep breath in, doing so good. Just beginning to recognize that whenever you feel resistance, whenever you feel like there's a problem that's bigger than you, you can just step back, you can let go for a moment, you can take a deep breath in, and you can actually rise above the problem. Not saying you don't handle the issue if there's something to handle, right? If you need to pay your taxes, you haven't paid your taxes, that's going to create another problem, right? I'm not saying escape the 3D, the 3-dimensional reality. What I'm saying is recognize that it's not the end of the world. All the anxiety and fear that you're feeling, or worry or doubt, is just a thought, it's just an emotion, it's just a feeling. And you can instantly shift that whenever you decide, because you are the king and the queen, the god and the goddess of your reality. So take a deep belly breath in. And with that, just like holding in your mind those 2 metaphors, moving from the 3rd to the 4th to the 5th, graduating, and then moving from the 1st floor to the 3rd floor and all the way up to the top floor of your life now, to the next level. Holding that in your mind, what I love to do is go around the circle and just tune in and just take a couple minutes for each of us to share into the circle if you feel called. There's no pressure, but to just share into the circle what has been the challenge or challenges, the problems, the resistance, the things that you know that are holding you back from your next level. And just really quick, I'll share with you, I had to give up so much stuff in the past month and a half because the universe was flooding my basement. The universe was flooding all of it, right? I had relied on, and I hope everyone's okay with this. If not, it's all good. Don't really care. I had relied on marijuana for quite some time to relax, right? I have all this work to do, and I just need to chill out, right? So instead of meditation, I would smoke weed. And the universe is like, James, nope, need to cut that out because it's not allowing you to go to the next level. So I had to talk to my coach, my friend, and he's like, dude, just set a day and then throw it out. And I did it. Cool, let that go. As soon as I let go of those limitations of weed, I started drinking 5 cups of coffee a day. I started eating pizza every night. Right? So I let go of one coping strategy. I will let go of one rock, one stone. And then all of a sudden, well, I have 4 more stones that I'm holding on to. Yeah, Jose says, yo, I feel that. Right? So I started drinking coffee and I was like, okay. But then I started working out and I was like, well, this is fine. It balances out. I have all this more energy, but I'm good. I'm good. Right? But then I started spending $200, $300 on pizza. And I'm like, I can't do that shit. I got bills to pay. I'm spending on some pizza, right? What's going on? Why am I feeling this way? So I cut out the pizza, and then I was like, now coffee's the thing. But I waited for 2 weeks. I was like, I can't do it. I can't let go of coffee. I'll be so tired. I won't be able to do anything. I don't want to. I hate feeling tired. I don't want to feel tired. And then my girlfriend judged me. After my 3rd cup of coffee, she just looked at me in the kitchen. She was like, just looked at me. I was like, why are you judging me? And at that moment, I knew, I was like, fuck it. I got to let go of coffee. So I let go of coffee. And then the next 3 days, I was sleeping all the time. I was just like, I couldn't do anything. I thought I was going through caffeine withdrawals. Actually, the universe gave me COVID at the same time I was quitting coffee. Right? I didn't even know. I thought I was going through caffeine withdrawals. I was sore. I had a headache. I was tired. I was sleeping. So I got my girlfriend sick and I got her family sick. And I had to just sit for 2 weeks. And sometimes that's what it looks like to go to the next level. Sometimes you just have to sit. The universe is going to flood your ass. But the thing is after I stopped drinking coffee, all of the anxiety, all of the dread, all of the worry, all the self-doubt that I've been suppressing, that's been keeping me on the first floor, came up to the surface. I was having panic attacks. I was fighting with my partners. All these things were coming up. And after a few days of that purging, things leveled out. I floated to the top, floated to the surface. And now things are much, much better. I don't have the craving to eat the pizza because I felt the thing that the pizza was trying to cover up. So what I want you guys to tune into, what are those things, those challenges, the things that are keeping you from feeling the things that you need to feel? What are those things? What are the blocks? What are the challenges that you need to overcome? I wanted to share vulnerably with you, let you know I was struggling with that stuff and it's all okay. And on the other side is calm, is peace, is relaxation, is deeper connection with yourself and your heart. So everyone, let's take a deep breath in and out. I'm going to stop the recording and we'll start to share.